There is a interesting thing I saw in a pro AA discussion not too long ago. Believe it or not, from time to time, I don't want to stop in there to those places too much because it's bad for my mental health to be exposed to too many cult ideas at once, if you know what I mean. But every so often, I will look at a pro AA group or a pro AA discussion board or something like that, just to kind of get an idea, because I've been out of AA for quite some time now, and I don't know if the attitude has changed at all or altered in any kind of way. Of course, the comments I get in the video section all the time outlining what goes on in there pretty much prove that nothing has evolved or changed at all since my time in Quackaholics Anonymous. It's pretty much the same kind of toxic behaviors, the same kind of cult dogma teachings, the same kind of all of that. But there was a discussion. I don't bother to participate when I go to one of those places, by the way. I'm not going to argue with 200 or 300 fucking trolls that are just going to reiterate the same old tired, worn out arguments I've heard millions of times before from people. Oh, you just have a resentment. You're just angry because it didn't work for you. Which, by the way, doesn't detract from the fact that what I'm saying is valid or not. I could be the most angry human being that you've ever encountered, screaming at the top of my lungs about what a crock of shit AA is, and me being angry does not take away from the fact that I might be telling the truth about the situation. But it's a sly, underhanded attempt that they often use. But one interesting comment above all that I thought was worth talking about for an entire video was because they had several people agreeing with them on this comment, which I thought it was a very interesting admission in of itself. But they said, I don't care if AA is true or not, it saved millions of people. And everybody else was commenting below it and saying, oh yeah, that's right, that's 100% right. Oh, yeah, I don't, this could all be a con game, but it's an effective con game. And I could start out this video by pointing out, as I've done on several other videos in the past, how there is definite proof that it has never saved billions of people. I think they actually said billions, not millions. Usually when they're attacking people, they'll say something like, how dare you talk bad about this organization? It saved millions of people, which it has not. But I was going to address, starting out for this particular video, I was going to address why it has not saved millions of people, but then I realized that that would be a pointless waste of time because the person just admitted, in their own words, they don't care about truth. And there were a few people who agreed about that. Now, in my personal opinion, for what little it's worth, I have yet to encounter any type of religion, belief system, political party, or anything else that, even though you may have zealots and you may have extremists and radicals and people who don't listen to anything other than the most hardcore ironclad type extremist positions that they have chosen to take, I don't think I've ever seen anybody in any camp say that they don't care if the positions they're railing about is true or false or not. You might have some people, if you pin them down in one of these political type of debates online or religious debates online, that more or less will make an admission if you push them hard enough. Again, arguing people with politics on the internet to me is just such a waste of time. It's you're not going to change anybody's mind. I've never seen anybody anywhere in any public spectrum say, you know what, this person called me a vile fucking moron on Twitter, and now I've changed my mind completely. I realize, but without my original point to this is, although I've seen some of them when they get pinned down enough, when you take apart their arguments, when you take apart what they're saying, they more or less ultimately end up admitting that they feel a certain way or they have a certain extremist position because they simply just don't like, the other side. They don't like or feel comfortable with something on the other side being accepted or, something of that nature. But I have yet to see a single one of them actually say, well, I don't care if my positions are true or not. I just want my opinions to be the gold standard for how, addiction is approached or whatever it is. Well, I said addiction, but I'm talking about anything. I've never encountered a really religious person that said, I don't care if the church I go to on Sunday is true or not. I don't care if, I've never seen a minister take a pulpit and say, I don't care if this gospel I'm preaching is total bullshit or not. The only thing that matters is people believe in it. It's an interesting admission to me that you would be willing to go all the way to an extreme of saying you don't care if everything AA is saying is bullshit, so long as you like AA, ultimately, if you make a statement like that, because you couldn't possibly know, assuming you really truly believe that AA has saved millions of people, you couldn't possibly know that. You only know what the cult does for you. It makes you feel a certain way. You get to play hero in the meetings when you're quoting all this big book garbage and all that other kind of bullshit. But again, there's no point in arguing facts with someone like that, or logic with someone like that, or even pointing out inconsistencies in what they're saying, because they don't care if it's true or not. There is an interesting thing I saw, can't remember where I heard it, but it was someone, and I don't know if they said it was on a t-shirt, like this Catzilla on my t-shirt, but I don't know if they said it was on a t-shirt or it needed to be on a t-shirt, but I think it's very, very applicable to this video at hand. It said, just because something doesn't matter to you, does that mean it doesn't matter? In other words, if you don't care that AA is true, there's no point in me using different examples, because I think it's very easy to demonstrate what the intentions of that t-shirt would mean in the context of recovery and addiction itself. There's so much going on in recovery and addiction itself that I don't need to draw a real-world analogy to that very curious, but also I find accurate statement. Just because it doesn't matter to you, does that mean it doesn't matter at all? Does it mean it doesn't matter? Because I 100%, when I got to AA, believed it was true. I 100% believed, due to the fact that pretty much it never gets any negative press and culture, pretty much it never gets any negative publicity. That's starting to shift, I do believe. I'm not one of these older guys that just disparages everybody who's below a certain age group or a certain age range. As a matter of fact, I think with the technological advancements of social media and a lot of the mass market communication, I do think a lot of the younger generation is not going to be as susceptible to the cult religion as I was, not because they're necessarily smarter than I am, but because they have more resources available to them and they know how to use them. And I have seen a growing number of articles online or in other places that kind of point out that maybe AA is not the most effective solution at all. But at the time I was exposed to it, I 100% believed that. If somebody had said to me something like, you drank last night because you were full of your ego, because you were full of your pride, because you can't get off your pride. That was a weird statement I used to hear a lot, by the way, in one group I used to go to. You need to get off your pride. If someone had said, by the way, these statements I'm telling you, these admonishments I'm inflicting on you for my own personal feelings of gratification, they may not even be true. And I don't care if they're true or not. I don't even care if it's real or not. I just love saying that shit because it makes me feel good, and I can trot out the fact that this is a go-to effective solution for everyone, no matter what. But even if it's proven that it's not an effective solution for everyone, it doesn't matter, because I don't care if it's true or not. Do you think that if you said that to any of the people watching this who are struggling with AA, or who have left AA, or who are struggling to deprogram from the damage the cult has given to you over the time you were in there, and I want to do a video about that in the future, by the way. How long does it take to fully deprogram, or I should say unlearn all the toxicity of AA? It took me quite a long time. It took me more than a couple of years. It took me more than 3 or 4 years. And that's perfectly fine. You can, it's not wrong to be angry. It's not wrong to be pissed off at a soul-sucking cult that ruined your fucking life or fed you garbage information. There's nothing wrong with anger at all. Even though I believed, anger was a sign of some insidious disease of alcoholism that was going to force me to go to a liquor store, But if you had been new, like I just outlined, if you're one of those people that was exposed to AA, escaping from AA, trying to unlearn the harm of AA, would you have had a radically different experience in your very first newcomer meeting if somebody told you, by the way, this stuff we're telling you, it may not even be true. And you know what else? We don't care if it's true or not. This is coming, by the way, from a group of people. I imagine the person who posted this probably has a sobriety coin somewhere with however many digits on the coin. And of course, they're going to say, to thine own self be true on that coin, which is a ripoff of a Shakespeare character. But it also probably has that honesty, willingness, open-mindedness, and all that other shit. An organization that prides itself on absolute honesty is telling you we don't care if it's true or not. I mean, we're not talking one or two disagreements. Agreements on that comment. We're talking about dozens of arrow ups on that Reddit post about it doesn't matter if it's real or not because it's saving people, even though it's not saving people. But of course, the people who say it doesn't matter if it's real or not because it's saving people, they don't give a shit about that. They don't give a shit about hearing any of that because they don't care about what's true, which I find is, you're literally saying I would rather believe a lie because I like the lie, even if it hurts other people, even if other people are devastated and destroyed by it, even if other people don't get the adequate help they need because our system is totally rigged in favor of the 12-step cult religion. You're saying you don't care about any of that. You just care because it makes you feel good. So it doesn't matter to you if it's true or not, but I guarantee you it matters to a lot of people. It matters to a lot of people who are struggling and suffering out here, who aren't getting the help they need, who are not able to get the help they need because, like a subscriber was talking about in one of my comments who's in the UK, he said the mental health system here is so totally, utterly fucked up that your hopes of getting a good therapist, a good shrink are next to nil. And pretty much I share a common experience right over here in the United States of America. I mean, unless you got a lot of money or you got a wickedly good insurance company because you're a major CEO of a corporation, the idea of you being a Tony Soprano sitting with Dr. Melfi is probably next to none. The most ordinary people could probably hope for is some half-ass social worker that's going to tell you, well, if you got a drinking problem, you need to go to AA. This is run by people, by the way, who wholeheartedly agree that it doesn't matter if AA is true or not. It might just give you a placebo effect or something to that nature. I could go into countless stories and countless details of horrors I saw in AA, horrors I experienced. But, one of the first things that popped into my mind, probably because there was an article the other day in one of the news. One of the things about having this new Windows 11 type system on my computer, when I open up the home screen, I've got headlines of articles from about 20 different news sources all over my home screen. When I clicked past my screensaver, and there was an article that was saying, even though fentanyl overdoses are at an all-time record high, that gangs from Mexico and China are adopting new and improved methods to get it into this country, that still one of the most predominant killers of people in terms of addiction is still alcohol. Alcohol, which people don't seem to actually, it has not made it into cultural consciousness, I guess, or it hasn't made it into the meta-narrative how dangerous that is, because it seems a lot of the time people have this idea that if you're a drunk, you're that guy that's falling down at parties and wakes up in the morning and says, oh, I need some aspirin. I don't know what I did last night. It's not treated as a serious, deadly thing it could be. And the fact that AA has been the gold standard, the go-to by a treatment center industry that pretty much is dominated by 12-step dogma and 12-step religion for decades now, after it all got kind of turned into an institution by Marty Mann and her politician friends back in the 1970s, and the problem is still higher than ever, would tell me that there is something seriously wrong with the way that we're approaching addiction. So this is not just my angry ranting here. There's facts that back up on my side, but there's no point in telling people that like that on that thread, because they don't care if it's true or not. I saw a certain attitude about drug addicts, by the way, in AA, where if a person Like if you had said something about fentanyl overdoses being at an all-time record high, they just said, well, those people, they're not alcoholic. Oh, okay, I see. Because you follow a program who tells you your real purpose is to serve God, but it's only, for people who have drinking problems. You don't give a fuck if anybody who has a fentanyl problem gets any help. You don't give a fuck about the people who drink themselves to death, who tried to work all 12 of those steps, that you don't even care if they're real or not, because it makes you feel good to be a cult member. You don't give a damn about them, right? I remember one particular individual I saw that I don't know much about him as far as what his backstory was, or what he struggled with or anything else. He picked up a couple of white chips during the time that I was still picking up white chips. I stopped picking those up after a period of time because I didn't feel like getting up there and doing the little walk of shame up to the front podium with all the people clapping around you to let you know, yeah, you got drunk last night. We're going to clap and pretend we care about you. But the minute you sit back down and the minute the meeting's over with, we're all going to cold shoulder you, say something sneering and condescending to you, etc. But this individual popped up in my mind because he had picked up a few during the time I was still picking them up. And he had talked to me about how he thought the whole entire thing was bullshit. But of course, he kind of fell in with the in crowd in the AA meeting. And of course, after that, whenever I would sit down next to him, he would actually get up and move. We can't sit by these undesirables in the back row. This back row is for the people who are homeless, for the people who are constant relapsers like I was, and for the weirdos and the failures and the fuck-ups and all that. Let's leave that back row for them, but don't be sitting by them. You gotta stick with the winners in this program, even though there's no losers in recovery. More contradictions, right? But somewhere along the way, and the reason why he popped into my head probably was because the article was talking about fentanyl. I don't know anything about fentanyl. I don't even know exactly what it is. But I remember him sitting in front of me, and he was seriously doing his 4-step, and he would get called on, and he would talk, and of course, everybody was clapping him on the back and everything like that. And the exact details I do not remember, because apparently there is something called a fentanyl patch, kind of like a morphine patch, I guess. I really don't know. I honestly don't know. But he had torn that open some kind of way, and he had ingested the material inside of it. Well, of course, a patch that goes on your arm, is not meant to be ingested, but he ended up dying as a result of it. And again, I don't know all the details, but I know that's about all I know. You know what I know just now, okay? But right after the news broke that he was dead, the very same people that was clapping him on the back, the very same people telling him he was so wonderful, the very same people that was telling him, oh, you're doing good, and all that, they were all sitting there and they were gleefully saying, this is what happens when you don't surrender to the program. This is what happens when you don't get off your pride, and do your 4-step. Even though I saw him working the 4-step, I saw him sitting there before the meeting started, writing one, and even sharing in the meeting, right now I'm working on this 4-step, I'm having trouble. There were people saying some have to die so that others can live. There were all those kinds of normal things that happen when someone, falls off the wagon and dies. And it occurred to me, if maybe he had a little do-over, maybe if somebody had told him from the beginning, by the way, I don't care if this program's true or not. I don't care if it's real or not. What I care about is I can say it saved millions of people, and if it doesn't save you, it's all your fault, even though it may not even be true. I wonder if he might have had a different reaction going in than what happened to him, and millions of others. Because I guarantee you right now, if you're struggling with addiction, if you're struggling to put down the drink, if you're having problems with relapses and you're having health problems as a result of drinking and you're having negative consequences as a result of drinking, those asshole old-timers, those gurus, the people that practically run the meetings and own the meetings, they don't give a flying fuck about you at all. Okay? You could die like I saw, oh my God, I can't tell you how many people I saw die in my time there over the years. But you can die, and that's all that's going to happen after you die. They're going to sit in there and say some have to die so that others can live. They're going to sit in there, but they're going to say this is what happens when you're not honest. They're going to sit in there and say this is what happens when you don't do your fourth step, and then they're going to forget about you. You know, whether you die or whether you end up permanently disabled from a car crash because you drove intoxicated or whatever, they don't give a shit about you whatsoever. And the fact that some of them would openly admit on a forum that they don't even care if the shit works or not, okay, they don't care if it's true or not, they just care about the fact that I can say it saved millions and it don't matter to me, you know. But it should matter to you. It should matter to you whether you're getting the true information or not. It should matter to you and you alone how you manage your addiction and how you overcome your addiction. You should not try to think that there's any kind of camaraderie or fellowship or anything in that fucking disgusting cult religion that cares about your life whatsoever. The fact that they would go all the way to saying, I don't even care if it's true or not. Who cares if it's true or not? While they sit in meetings, no doubt, and say they're sober by the grace of God. They'll sit in the meeting and say in front of everybody, you know, I just know beyond a shadow of all doubt that God healed me. You know, they're more or less admitting by liking a post like that online that they're lying. They just know that they have to say the right script. They know they got to say the right things, so the group will continue to accept them for who they are. But if they fuck up and fail, drink themselves to death and die, tough shit. You know, there was a short video uploaded by Burn the Stigma with Terror, I think. I'm so terrible with saying this correctly, but she was talking about how many people have been lied to, how many people have been manipulated, how many people have been destroyed by this harmful fucking cult religion. But when you get to thinking about all the people who, they may not be dead right now as we speak, but they may be drinking themselves to death, all the people that are wandering the streets right now that may be a victim of this fentanyl epidemic, all the people that you see that are picking up garbage by the side of the road so they can get into a liquor store and buy whatever their poison is cheapest. When you start tallying that up and you start tallying up all the destroyed lives, all the victims of predatory sexual abuse at the hands of old-timers, when you start tallying up all the people who have committed suicide, all the people who have died from drinking, and all the overdoses, not to mention all the fucking families that have been destroyed by this thing because they were told to show tough love to people, they were told to cold shoulder their own family members, or they just didn't give a shit about their family members any longer because they weren't a success story. When you think about how much pain and suffering this whole fucking cult is, it may not matter to you, a cult member who posted that, whether it's true or not, but you know what? It fucking matters to me, and it matters to people who are really suffering from this addiction crisis that's gripping this nation right now and gripping this world right now that need actual real help. They need a real solution. They don't need a phony fucking cult religion that makes you feel good to sit in meetings and get hero worshipped when you don't even give a shit if it's true or not. If anybody ever reproaches you with that argument, because believe it or not, I even heard that in an AA meeting one time. They said, this stuff might not be true, but by God, it works. No, it doesn't fucking work. You don't care about what's true or false. You just care about gratifying yourself by sitting in those meetings and being made a hero and a god in the little group consciousness type thing. You don't care about what's true or what's real or what's effective or what might help. You're one of those people that's willing to say, I don't care if all those people are drinking themselves to death out there tonight. I don't care about all those people that are going to get their hands on bad fentanyl and die. I don't care about certain state governments that are not very willing to approve in their budgets the name of that drug, I can't remember right now, Narcan, that has been known to save lives. I don't give a shit about any of that. I don't care if it's true or not. AA makes me feel good, and that's all that really fucking matters. So, again, like the t-shirt suggestion, a real t-shirt says, just because it doesn't matter to you, don't you think when it comes to addiction, it should matter? And I guess, I guess I said all I could say on that. I mean, I hear a lot of weird arguments in favor of defending AA, but When you tell me you don't even care if AA is true or not, it just makes you feel good. And then you hide behind, cause it's saying millions, which you couldn't possibly know. But then again, I wouldn't expect you to care about finding out the truth of that because you don't care what's true or not. Chime in the comments. Let me know what kind of weird, bizarre defenses you've heard people say in order to justify this sick, twisted cult religion that is actively destroying people right now. I guess I'll see you guys next week. I moved it in here to this one corner of the bedroom this week, and I kind of like this setup. This is a corner. It's Quackaholics corner right here, but I kind of feel there's no background distractions or anything like that, and I can actually stand up, versus being in that squeaky chair rocking back and forth. So I see you guys next week.